Are you ready for more Brexit red tape? Authorisation. More travel red tape for Europe trips. Get ready for Etias and EES, guys. We're going to read into it all from the Independent, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from the Independent with the headline of More Travel Red Tape for Europe Trips. Get ready for Etias and EES. Under the entry-exit system, every British traveller to the Schengen area must be fingerprinted and provide a facial biometric. There's quite a lot in here to read, guys. So yes, the more Brexit red tape, which is coming down the road, guys. It's already a headache as it is for us being treated as a third world country to go into and out of Europe. But essentially, this is what we voted for. This is what we wanted, apparently. When, quite frankly, I don't remember this being on the ballot box when people were voting. I don't remember it being on there when I cast my vote. I'm pretty sure that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm 90% sure. Oh, they said that the Leave campaign said that if we voted that we would not be leaving the single market and customs union as well. They did say that, didn't they? I think we were lied to. Yeah, we was lied to, guys. See, the thing is that they keep changing their story, and it's getting harder and harder for people to defend it. And I know some people don't like talking of Brexit, but I'm sorry, I'm going to keep talking about it whenever I possibly can, because it's made our country worse off. It's made our future generations worse off. It's made businesses worse off. The only people who have benefited has actually been businesses in Europe that haven't originally traded with the UK before Brexit are now booming because we are detached here from the European Union. We're throwing away a lot of our values and what we stand for by trading with the CPTPP over in Australia, New Zealand, that over the other side of the world. It hopes to try and gain some money. Well, we're getting barely anything from it, and they will get great benefits. Well, we're getting little to no benefits of it. The only one Brexit benefit I've seen that's been for the UK is an extra 6p in Australian wine. But I don't know about you, but I'm not a wine person, but I don't think 6p off your Australian wine is kind of a Brexit benefit that you really want to shout about, is it? The only Brexit benefits are ones for everyone outside the United Kingdom, because we have not benefited. And I'm still waiting for sovereignty to be the one and be all. The tribalism in believing that that we will be better off. Well, I've got some bad news for you senior people listening. Yeah, because you're not going to like this. May not happen in this timeline, may not happen in the next 10 years, may not happen in 15, 20 years. But we will rejoin at some point. Because the people aren't happy. And the youngsters, these kids, they see what the older generation had, and they want it. And they're going to fight for it. So, let's read into this, because it's quite a bit. So after the UK voted to leave the European Union and the government negotiated for British travellers to become a third country national subject to a range of restrictions, British passport holders must now have their travel documents inspected and stamped. The next steps, which are likely to be introduced in autumn 2024, will involve more red tape. The good news, passport stamping will end. The bad news, every traveller must be fingerprinted and provide a facial biometric. Yeah, so right now, if you go in and out, you get your passport stamped because we're a third country. Well, now it's going to be fingerprinting and facial biometric, basically. So that we're basically identified. So that if we're inside the EU for more than 90 days, we can be tracked down, basically. The European Union is planning to introduce an entry-exit system, EES, that will record the movements of non-EU visitors. Shortly afterwards, in mid-2025, according to the latest plans, prospective UK visitors to the Schengen area will have to apply online for permission to enter. The Schengen area comprises most of the 27 remaining members of the European Union, but not Bulgaria, Cyprus, Ireland, or Romania, plus Iceland, Norway, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. The Electronic Travel Information and Authorisation System, that's the Etias, is the next step in tightening frontier controls. It depends upon EES being fully functional and is due to appear in mid-2025. So when is it introduced? It is the £7, £6 online permit will be valid for 3 years. Yeah, that's right. You've got to pay for it. You didn't think this was going to be free, right? No, of course not. So what is the entry-exit system? First step, guys. So the entry-exit system is an automatic IT system for registering citizens from third countries, which means everywhere outside the EU and the Schengen area. The system is aimed at such travellers when they enter or leave at an external Schengen border, as well as flying from the UK to Spain or crossing by a road from Greece to Turkey. It will not be used for internal frontiers within the Schengen area. The EES will register the date and place of entry or exit, plus fingerprints and facial biometric. This system says the European Union will replace the current system of manual stamping of passports, which is time-consuming. It does not provide reliable data on border crossing. It does not allow a systematic detention of overstayers. British travellers, like other third country nationals, are restricted to 90 days stay in any 180 days within the Schengen area, but enforcement of this currently depends on checking passport stamps and is applied haphazardly. The new system will not apply in Ireland or Cyprus. Interesting that Ireland and Cyprus are not applied. I'm curious how this plays into the whole people going from Northern Ireland to Ireland, that kind of thing. Interesting, to say the least, on that. So, when will it start? Originally, EES was due to start in 2021, but the bodies responsible for implementation, the European Union Agency for Operational Management of Large-Scale IT Systems in the Area of Freedom, Security and Justice, the EULISA, have repeatedly pushed back the date because the database is far from ready. In October 2023, the European Council's Justice and Home Affairs Council endorsed a new timeline for the rollout of EES. The Council said in a statement, the new roadmap for the delivery of the new IT foresees the entry-exit system will be ready to enter into operation in autumn 2024. The Independent understands that is now due to start on the 6th of October 2024. So that's what the Independent believes. But so pretty much by the end of New Year, this system will be up and running, and we won't need to get our passport stamps, but we are going to be basically checked and scanned every time we go into the EU now. How does that make you feel, by the way? You know, sovereignty, right? Sovereignty. How will the biometric checks work? So outbound and inbound passengers will go through formalities at airports abroad in a similar way to US immigration, though both on the way in and the way out of the Schengen area. On the first registration, they must submit to fingerprint checks and provide a facial biometric. On subsequent visas within 3 years, only one of these will be required, and for practical purposes, the facial biometric will be used. Each new visit triggers another 3 years of validity until the expiry date of the passport. Okay, so the idea is 3 years of validity until the expiry date of the passport. I still have a European Union and British passport, but it's going to run out soon. I'm not looking forward to getting my blue passport. I really am not. Subsequent visas within 3 years as well. There's so many barriers, and we could have been inside the European Union and not had this. We didn't have to have this, guys. We really did not. It's so frustrating. Sounds complicated? That's because it is complicated in my mind. Some EU members have expressed alarm at the extra time involved in the new process, with the Slovenian government warning it takes up to 4 times longer to do the process. Okay, so not everyone's on board, obviously. For terrestrial travellers, it could be even worse. Giving evidence to Parliament about the new system, Tim Redondon, head of the EU's gate for the Port of Dover, said, There is no such thing as an e-gate for a car. There is no such thing as an e-gate process for people travelling as a group. They're all in a one at a time processes. There is no way of doing biometric control without getting everyone out of the vehicle. Well, there's no two ways about it. The way things were done at Dover have to change completely. It's going to be a case of they're going to have to get out the vehicle. Like they need to build like a giant car park or something at Dover now, where like you're literally going into an airport sort of scheme there now, because that it's going to mean you're going to need to restructure Dover. He's going to need to invest into Dover, because this, in order for this to work there, like you got to have this system. If they push this system, and you're gonna have to do it if you want to get in the EU. I mean, they may make consensus to say to still do the stamping potentially, but that may be something that potential future Labour government may negotiate with the EU potentially and originally until now, but then they'll have to invest in it down the road. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But they're gonna have to invest in Dover. They're gonna have to invest in that Dover port one way or another, because this is not working. That's the one thing that's on our site which cannot happen, because you're in the middle of live traffic. It would be equivalent to ask people to get out of their car at a motorway toll booth. It's fundamentally unsafe and it can't happen. Well, that means it's got to change. The way things are done at Dover have to change completely. The days of simply sitting in your car as you're going into Dover, that's going to end, because we're not in the EU. It's going to have to change, whether we like it or not, because it's not going to be for another 15, 20 plus years before we even rejoin the single market and customs union, like to reapply for it, shall we say. Apply for it. Gareth Williams, strategy director of Eurostar, which runs trains to France from London, has said we don't currently see a practical solution. If we take the peak of August, up to 8% of people will have to go through the system. We do have extreme space challenge. At minimum, we would require over 30 kilos and about the area size of our entire check-in area at St Pancras. This rule does not apply to EU citizens. Of course it doesn't apply to EU citizens. Well, St Pancras are going to have to look at, well, if we want to keep running the Eurostar, St Pancras are going to have to make investment. Again, like, I get it, but they're going to have to look at it. And again, if we want to avoid these, the British government are going to have to negotiate something with the EU. At the end of the day, we are outside. We're on the outside. We don't have control of this, by the way. Yeah, what happened? We haven't taken back control. We've given away our control. See, we don't have a say in this. If the EU turns around and says no, you have to put these checks in, the British government are going to put the checks in, because what's the alternative? Oh, what, British citizens can't enter the EU? I'm sorry, I don't think British public are going to accept that. So when does Etias start? The much delayed scheme is now anticipated to start around 6 months after the EES is up and running, perhaps in spring 2025. A grace period of 6 months is likely to be granted, which means that it's likely Etias will not become mandatory before late 2025. Yeah, it's going to take time. Yeah, it is definitely going to take time for this to work. Is Etias a visa? Officially, no. Europe says Etias is a pre-travel authorisation system. It is similar concepts to the US ESTA, the Canada's ETA, and the British ETA, which are not technically visas. They are issued to international travellers who do not require a full visa. Its key function is to verify if a third country national meets entry requirements before travelling to the Schengen area, says the EU. But its Etias requires visitors to apply in advance, providing lots of personal information, pay money, and be issued with a permit to cross the border. It is not surprising that it is commonly termed a Euro visa. So how much does it cost? The fee is €7, £6 for all applicants aged 18 to 70. While those under 18 or over 70 will still need an Etias, it will be free. Okay, so if you're over 70, you can get away without paying for it, but And if you're under 18, then you don't need to pay for it at all, but you still have to apply for it. It means your parents or guardian will have to do it on your behalf if you're unable to do it. So how will I apply? When finally the EU is ready, at the heart of the system is an Etias app and website. Okay, so they're going to set up an app and a website to make it as easy as possible for travellers. Travellers will be required to submit personal information, including name, address, contact details in Europe, and passport data. They must also state an occupation with job title and employer. Students will also be required to give their name and their educational establishment. The applicants must give details of any serious convictions in the past 20 years. Travellers must also provide online the reason for their journey, holiday, business, visiting families, etc., specify the country they will first arrive in, and provide the address of the first night stay, which will pose a problem for tourists who will like to make plans as they go along. As with other online travel permits, commercial intermediaries are allowed, but according to Frontex, the EU organisation implemented Etias, there are many scam sites out there likely to apply fees in the same way, the basic £6, €7. Other sites, any sites other than europa.eu.etias is unofficial and should not be trusted. One imposter site claims to have processed 671 applications already. This is impossible since no applications have been processed elsewhere. Yeah, so you really need to be careful when this starts coming around. You need to make sure that you are going to the official website for these. So you need to be very, very careful, and that you're using the right website as well to do this. Another site offers a 40% discount for early applicants. Some use the EU logo, which is illegal. Frontex also warns about the risk of identity theft if personal information is provided to imposter sites. Yeah, you're giving up. You have to give your personal information, and you're obviously paying for it, so you're likely to be paying with your bank details. This information obviously is extremely sensitive, so you need to got to make sure that it's the official website. Do triple, quadruple check that is the right one. Like, check other websites to confirm that this is the right website. No, that's the best. The best way to do it is to check different websites and other websites. That's kind of the best way to legitimately check to be sure. So what happens to the information? So every application will be checked against EU and relevant Interpol databases, as well as a dedicated Etias watch list. The system will be turned to pick out individuals suspected of being involved in terrorism, armed robbery, child pornography, fraud, money laundering, cybercrime, people smuggling, trafficking in endangered animal species, counterfeiting, and industrial espionage. So how far in advance can I apply? So the European Union says, we strongly advise you to obtain the Etias travel authorisation before you buy your ticket and book your hotel. The aim is for Etias to be granted within minutes, though even a straightforward application could take up to 4 days. If the application is flagged, i.e. there will be a hit in one of the databases, the applicant may be asked to provide additional information. Alternatively, says the EU, the applicant may be asked to participate in an interview with national authorities, which may take up to 30 days. Assuming yours is granted, there is no certificate issued and nothing needs to be printed. The frontier guard will get the information from he or she needs for the passport you used to apply. In case of mistaken identity, will I be able to appeal? Yes, details of how to appeal will be included on the notice of rejection. Once I have Etias, am I guaranteed administration to the Schengen area? The answer is no. Mere possession of travel authorization does not confer an automatic right of entry, says the EU. As with the US, travellers can be turned away for any reason. There is likely to be a mechanism in place for an Etias to be reinstated. Do I need to apply for an Etias every time I travel to Europe? The answer is no. The permit will be valid for 3 years, or until your passport runs out, whichever is the earliest. So you need to bear that in mind. So you have 3 years. So at the time when you first apply, you have 3 years. So it's important to make. Will I need an Etias to travel to Ireland? The answer is no. The Commons travel area incorporated to the UK, the Island, the Isles of Man, and the Channel Islands translates European Union rules. And in any event, Ireland is not in the Schengen area. If I have long stay permit from one of the EU nations, must I obtain an Etias? The answer is no. How are people without internet access supposed to apply? They will be expected to get a friend, a family member, or a travel agent to make the application from them in the same way as the US ESTA and similar schemes. So if you don't have internet access, you better get some, because if you don't, you're in trouble. Just remind us about the 90, 180 day rule. This rule, which the UK asked to be subject to be the subject after leaving the European Union means that British travellers cannot stay more than 90 days in any stretch of the 180 days. An example of what that means: if you were to spend the first 90 days of 2024, January, February, almost all of March in the Schengen area, you would not be able to return until late June. Is all of this because of Brexit? No. Work on strengthening the European Union's external borders was already well underway before the UK referendum on membership in June 2016. Etias would not be relevant if the UK was still in the EU, but the nation voted to leave the European Union and the British government negotiated for British travellers to be classified as third country nationals, triggering the extra red tape. So remember, there's a very key point as well, guys. I'm just going to show you before I go to my final thoughts. It's stated here. Where is it, guys? Aha! The rules do not apply to EU citizens. We were EU citizens. We are no longer European Union citizens, even though some of us consider ourselves European. Yes, so we are getting this red tape. Now, what do I honestly make of Etias and this? So obviously this is something they've been planning down the lines obviously for a while, and this is about them strengthening their borders and security and whatnot. I just think it absolutely sucks that we are on the outside and not on the inside, not having to deal with this, but this is what we voted for, and you will, the absolute, I cannot stress this enough, right? We will not be moving away from Europe. We will be building closer relationships with Europe. Now, whether it will be the next Labour government potentially, or future Conservative government, or whatever will be the future, we will be building relationships with our neighbours, because that is who we are. We are European. Okay, we are European. We are part of Europe. The island is stuck here. It's not going to move anywhere else. Hopefully, at some point down the road, we will be EU citizens once again, properly. But until then, we are going to end up coming down this path. Now, it does stress there, obviously, for every British traveller in the Schengen area, but it's still going to be a massive headache for people. And it's going to cost us as well. But the good news is it's only every 3 years as well. But I know some people are already struggling enough as it is paying for things, but we wanted this, apparently. Sovereignty is what we wanted, guys. So what do you guys make of it? What do you make of Etias, EES, and the more Brexit red tape, and the fingerprinting, facial biometrics? The whole point of the system is designed to reduce time travelling in, which is everybody wants, because nobody wants to be standing at an airport longer than they need to, or standing at a station or a port or whatever to get to where they want to go. People don't want time. People want to reduce that time, don't they, to get from A to B or wherever they're going. So in that part, that's good. But for us in particular, for Britain, what does this mean for us? What do you guys generally feel? How do you guys generally feel about this? Let me know in the comment section down below. I know some of you guys are from Europe and America, so perhaps you guys have different thoughts. Obviously, from your perspective, let me know in the comment section. Eager to hear what you guys think. Hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share this across social media so other people are well informed. And hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified of when I upload another video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.